What's up, everyone? Tera Roberts here with your free agency deep cuts for week 3. Week 2 was a tough week for injuries, and the big waiver ads are likely already gone. So if you're looking for someone to help get you by this week, I've got a great group of deep waiver ads. The quarterback position is one of those that took some big hits last week with injuries, and we've got some new faces in. Unfortunately, I don't like any of those faces. Justin Fields is probably already rostered in your league, so he's not actually an option. Taylor Heineke is an option, but he's got a rough matchup against a solid Buffalo defense who shut out Miami last week. And speaking of Miami, you've got Jacoby Brissett. No, just no. Then moving on to Indianapolis, we've got multiple options at quarterback apparently, which is never a good thing. So where are we going to pivot? You may not like it, but Jared Goff might actually be the pivot for this week. Technically speaking, he's been a top 10 quarterback thus far on the season. Wild, I know, but garbage time Goff has been pulling through, and Baltimore's defense has not been successful stopping the pass. Jared Goff can get you by this week. At running back, we've got someone who you can probably still pull off waivers and use this week, Kenneth Gainwell. Last week was rough for the Philadelphia offense as a whole, but as an RB2, Gainwell does see a decent amount of work, and you could opt to use him in a pinch. Week 1, he saw 9 carries, and in week 2, he only saw 6, but again, that was a bad day for the entire Philadelphia offense. He also gets receiving work as well, and the matchup against Dallas is fantastic. Moving on to wide receivers, a very interesting option that has been productive, but hardly anyone actually rosters him, is BRAXTON. He's been technically thriving in PPR in the Jets offense due to other receivers being injured or not really involved. And I'm not exaggerating when I say thriving. He's had double-digit performances 2 weeks in a row. It's not fancy, but it'll certainly do. Especially against a tough Denver defense who is likely going to opt to focus on shutting down the more prominent and more talented options within the offense, if you know what I mean. Next up, I said it last week, and I will say it again, Sammy Watkins is not a bad streaming option right now. Get it out of your mind. The Ravens have a fantastic matchup against the Lions, and he's playing a significant amount of snaps, 92% last week, and he is getting a decent amount of targets, 8 in week 1, 7 in week 2, and he's settled into that third receiving option role behind Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews. He's still very available on waivers, and he could be a usable option for fill-ins with all of the injuries that we've had this week. Another readily available option at receiver is QUINTEZ CEPHUS. Remember, garbage time Goff. Combine that with Tyrell Williams going on IR, and suddenly QUINTEZ CEPHUS is seeing 90% of snaps. Last week against the Packers, he was 4 for 7, and this is the second week in a row he's caught a touchdown pass. A double-digit PPR performance for week 3 for the third time in a row is well within the realm of possibilities. Another juicy matchup for this week comes in the form of anyone that faces Atlanta, and that team this week is the Giants, and the deep waiver ad for the Giants this week is Darius Slayton. Let's be honest, the man is the literal definition of a boom-bust player. He can get you 100 yards and a touchdown, or he can just simply not exist. But Daniel Jones has been fairly productive, and that production should increase against a struggling Falcons defense. Slayton is a great waiver ad this week. And finally, at tight end, I've got someone who is definitely on waivers for you unless you're in a very deep league or tight end premium leagues, and that man is Albert O for the Denver Broncos. We thought Tim Patrick would be stepping into a more prominent role, and while he technically has, it's not to the degree that we've expected. Denver has been leaning more on the tight ends, and Albert O is someone who can definitely benefit in this situation, particularly against the Jets this week. And that wraps things up for this week's free agency deep cuts. If you're in a pinch, I hope that these options helped you, and I hope they help carry you to victory. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your lineups, and I'll see you again next week.